Here's the number one thing I'm trying to do. I am demonstrating to them that I am an expert with my knowledge on the property, with my ability to point out details on the property, but I'm not showing them around the property so I can be a parrot, like parroting off, like, this is a lovely office, like, look at the crown molding, look at the trim, really nice flooring. I'm actually just quickly using a couple talking points to ask them more questions about themselves. So guys, come check out this office filled with tons of natural light, really, really beautiful room. Talking with them, asking them questions, take them through the next room. Upstairs, we got 4 bedrooms up here. Let me show you guys the primary really quick. Couple cool details about the primary. By the way, do you guys have any kids? Like, do you need the extra bedrooms? Would you use it as an office, a work from home? Like, what do you guys got going on? Just gathering that information. That's how you're gonna build rapport. You're gonna demonstrate expertise with your knowledge on the property, but you're gonna use each cue of the property, whether it's an office, whether it's a bedroom, whether it's a kitchen, to ask a lot of questions because your goal is to get the intel on this person. Good to see everybody. My name's Jake Nicole. Very happy to be with you guys on this lovely Wednesday afternoon. Here's a little bit about me. I'm based in Ancaster, Ontario, about an hour south from Toronto, and about also an hour to Niagara Falls, which is another good landmark. Average price point over here is about 800,000, 900,000. Our team is a team of 6 agents, myself and my business partner, David Robio, who, if you guys attend the other monthly coaching call that he does, the two of us are business partners. Our team last year did $119 million in sales across about 6 agents. Dave and I would probably be 70% of that production. And this year, our team has sold, I think the number is a little bit over $30 million worth of real estate so far, with another $55-60 million in active listings across our agents. So we anticipate we'll probably close out this year a little bit closer to 200 million for the year, just based on kind of the current trend of where things have been going. But good stuff. We got more of you jumping in. Jennifer, Long Island, good to meet you, Jen. Stephanie, you got a question right away, which is awesome. Isaac, and I'll get to you in just a second. Isaac, Salt Lake City, Utah, 550,000 price point. Twin Falls, Idaho for Bram. Good to see you guys on here. Detroit metro area average price point is around 300, 400,000. All right, good stuff. So let's do this, guys. What I'd love to do is I've got some stuff I definitely want to teach. I would love to jump in with questions. I've met a bunch of you before, and there's a whole bunch of names that are familiar faces. Please do me a big favor. Turn on your cameras so I can see your faces. And the reason is, if you just throw it on and maybe you're just listening in the background, I get it. You're going to get so much more out of this if you're actively engaged, and I get to see you, say hi to you, and also call on you, because I'd love to call on you guys to also answer some questions, because I'm going to throw you guys, put you in the hot seat a bit. And if you're uncomfortable with that, all good, no problem. But good to see you guys. Stephanie, thanks for turning on the camera. Good to see you. Vanessa, what's going on? Love to see you guys. Asir, and also I got my screen over here, so I'm looking over to the side at your guys' faces. Jennifer, good to see you. Love the glasses, very, very cool. Nice white background. Maxwell, good to see you, buddy. Adam, right on. Okay, let's jump right in. Stephanie, you had a question right away. Let's kick it off with a question. Love it.
Sorry. So yeah, I'm driving and my little thingy broke. That's why I'm kind of like not really looking at you. But I just left a muscular appointment for a $3.6 million condo, and it went very well. She just has one issue, and I don't want to let this get cold. And I know technically I know the right answer to this. So she's okay with the price. We discussed everything. Her unit is actually worth that much, so I don't foresee there being an issue. But she has a question about the taxes. She doesn't want to, sell and then we do a bunch of taxes. And I know actually, I'm supposed to say I'm not a tax professional, consult a tax professional. But I was wondering, is there anything different that I could say to her to prove like a little bit more value? She's also thinking about buying something smaller. So I'm now trying to do a legwork and prove that I'm not just any other realtor that will tell her to go to a tax professional and try to find out more information for her.
Love it. Awesome question. So best thing you can do, Stephanie, here's the quick take. You started out with the right sentiment, which is you don't want to mislead someone and act as though you're a tax professional when you're not. What I would do is really simple. I would reach out to someone that I know, Stephanie, who is a tax professional, and I would go, look, here's the situation. This is what they're trying to do. I want to refer them to you or be able to make an introduction to you. Let's just say your tax person's name is Sam, okay? And you're like, I want to be able to refer them to you, Sam. Can you give me a little bit of input on what they should be able to anticipate? And then what I would do, Stephanie, is I go back to them and I would say, Hey, good news. I spoke with my tax advisor that I personally go to, I bring my clients to, and when I spoke with them, these are a couple of the key takeaways of what you kind of need to know that the next steps will look like for you. And you just walk them through it a little bit, and you say, by the way, Joanne, I am not a tax, I can't actually advise you because I'm not a tax consultant. I don't work in taxes. I'm just telling you at a high level the information that was relayed to me. But what I'd love to do is actually make an introduction for you so that you can have a better idea of like really getting someone to assess it and walk you through your specific scenario and how that'll impact your taxes. How does that sound? And she'll be like, that sounds great. So essentially there, Stephanie, just to recap, you use these opportunities when you have high-end clients that any tax advisor would, I'm sure, be excited to work with. And you use that to build your own, database of vendors that you work with. I have a segment in my database called vendors. And whenever somebody reaches out and has a question where they'll want an introduction to a painter, obviously a lawyer, obviously mortgage brokers, you get these general contractors, you get these people together as your vendors, home movers, carpet installers, like whatever it is you need to do to build out that database, and tax advisors. And then what can happen is you can now be able to be the professional who, when you sit across from someone, you go, no problem at all. I'm going to introduce you to my financial advisor who personally helps me navigate. Like, this is something, by the way, guys, for me, I actually do this all the time. I have a financial advisor who helps me manage my money, my assets, and I will go to them. I'll go to my clients rather and say, hey, look, I'm going to introduce you to Brian. He's my go-to guy that I personally have my money with. My wife knows him. He comes and sits down at our house once a quarter and we review things together. Like, he's definitely the person that I'm comfortable introducing you to. It actually is the fastest way for you to build a lot of trust, and it's a great way for you to build your own database. So, Stephanie, does that answer the question for you? Awesome. You're
Yes.
muted, but I saw you smile and nod, so that looked like a big yes. Great. Thanks so much, Stephanie. And big congrats on the big giant listing. I love to hear it. That's amazing. Okay, good. Any other questions before we jump in, do a little bit of training? Happy to answer questions. To give you guys a little bit of context as well, I mentioned our team sells, a good amount of real estate. This is I'm in my fourth year in real estate right now. I'm like 4 years in, 4.5 years in. And this year I'm on track to probably do similar to some of the other years, considering the differences in tariffs, uncertainty in the marketplace. $50 million is likely where I'll end up for the year. So just to give you guys kind of a quick idea, sell lots of real estate. Excited to answer any questions you guys have. What I really want to talk about today is how to achieve your GCI goal. And I'm going to break this into three parts for you. So if your goal is to have a target and actually hit it or surpass it, I'll share exactly how I did that for myself in my first year. So number one is that you need to know thy numbers. You need to know when it comes to the goal you're trying to set, how everything breaks down. So let me give you an example. If your goal is to do $500,000 in GCI, okay? Then you need to break that down and say, what's the average price point in my area, which a bunch of you just gave me. All right. What's my average price point? What's my average commission that I personally take? Is it 2.5, 3%? What do you average across your buy side and your listing side transactions? So you need the number of the commission goal, 500K, the price point of what you're selling right now, the average commission you make, and then the only thing you're left with to calculate that is how many transactions you need to do. And then you can break that down into a quarterly goal of how many homes you're trying to sell. And here's what you do. This is also all borrowing from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. I'll let you guys play with these numbers, but at a high level, I'm going to tell you how to do this. So I want you to write those things down. Okay. $500,000 average price points. Let's say it's 800K, like Stephanie there in Miami. Average commission, let's say it's 2.5, 3%. So you write out those averages, then you write out how many homes do I need to sell? All right. If you're trying to do $500,000, it's probably like 25 houses or something at that price point. Okay. So you write that out, and then your goal is to go, awesome. If my goal is that I need to sell, let's say it's 20 houses this year, all right, on the buy side or the sell side, then you need to ask yourself, well, how many appointments do I need to go on at like a 75% conversion rate to be able to get that? So then you're going to take your, 20 transactions that you need to do, you're going to divide it by 0.75. If you want to do 20 deals, it means you need to go on 27 appointments that are listing style appointments or it's like a buyer where you're locking them in on a contract. All right. And maybe your numbers aren't as good. You're like, Jake, I'm only right now, my closing ratio is like half. Well, that means instead of going on 27 appointments, you need to go on 40 appointments. This is where sales matters because if you can go on less appointments and make more money, you're more effective with your time. Or if you can go on more appointments but have a higher closing ratio, you're just going to do more business. So you need to keep track of all this. For me personally, the way that I monitored my numbers really tightly the first couple of years to get a sense of where I was at and how I was doing is every week I would track these numbers. How many new leads did I get? How many appointments did I go on? How many, what was the conversion rate of those appointments? Like, did I actually get a new listing agreement signed, a new buyer representation agreement signed, like tracking those key metrics. The other thing I tracked on the production side of not really production, more like outbound effort, was I was tracking how many phone calls I'm making outbound. And that is a good metric. Like if I'm having a week where I'm doing less than a couple hundred calls, I need to look at that and be like, cool, where am I spending my time to justify the lack of activity there? Because lead flow, to go back to my first point, when you look at your business every week, if you start to notice a discrepancy in the fact you're not getting enough leads on a weekly basis, you can forecast moving forward that if you're not getting enough leads, you're definitely not going to be going on enough appointments and you're not going to do enough transactions. And here's the really quick thing that maybe some of you are thinking. So when it comes to the objection that I'll hear people say sometimes, it's like, Jake, I know somebody who they hardly do any kind of like crazy outbound lead generation, anything like that. And yet at the end of the day, they're still doing lots of business. Like, what's the deal with that? The reality is that they're probably not doing the level of business that they need to be doing. And they might be doing a decent amount, but if you want to do a really high level of production, you need to actually be able to start breaking this stuff down and having a lot of clarity around what it is you're trying to get to and aspire to. So how many of you guys track your numbers like that on a weekly basis? Just maybe a quick like little show of hands here. Just see you guys here. How many of you guys are tracking your numbers there? Hey, nobody's tracking your numbers. Oh, Jennifer, Simon, nice, good. Couple of you guys. This is something for sure, guys, that not a lot of agents do. It's very cumbersome to do it. I can see Adrian saying that he does it. Maxwell does it. Awesome. And the reason you want to be tracking this for sure is if you don't track it, what you don't measure never gets managed. So you don't start to realize, unless you track this stuff, like, oh my gosh, I'm actually not generating nearly enough of the number of leads that I need to be generating in order to get the outcome that I want to make. And I'm going to show you guys as well something that I've got that I can share, and you guys can go in and get a bit of a better sense of how these numbers actually play out for you. I'll shoot it to you guys afterwards, but I've got a real estate sales tracking thing that I use to be able to keep track of the number of leads that I need, the number of appointments I need to be going on. I took all of it from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent and I broke it all down into a really succinct way to measure everything to be able to make sure that I'm on track to hit goals whenever I need to. All right. So if you guys like that, let me know. Happy to drop that over to you. And just trying to see if I can actually pull it up quick because it is really, really helpful to see. Yeah, I'll drop it
Can I ask you a
afterwards.
question, Jake?
Yeah, please do.
If you're like capped out on your marketing budget and like you still not getting enough lead flows coming in, like what are you doing to generate buyer leads? I'm doing open houses on the weekends. I'm doing
Nice.
everything to get in front of buyers, but it's a numbers game. Like you said, I'm still not able to hit the numbers that I want. And then also with this new uh compliance thing with like texting and calling people. It's kind of like like my old database that I haven't talked to people. I'm like scared to reach out because I don't want like I've had some people, get upset, like, threaten to report me, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, appreciate it, Maxwell. Okay. Number one, what's your current marketing budget that's maxed out?
I've out
40
this
grand for
year,
the year. Yeah, you've
yeah,
maxed it out already, as in you've already allocated it towards different initiatives, or you already spent the 40 grand.
I've already spent it towards Miskula and direct mail marketing. I'm getting good leads through there. It's just not the amount of appointments that I need to go on to hit my income goals.
Awesome. Are you finding you're getting the number of leads you thought you needed, but you're not generating the appointments from that, or is it both and?
Both.
Okay.
I'm
So you're
getting
not
I'm
getting enough
getting
leads?
leads. I'm not
Yep.
getting enough leads.
Not getting enough leads. Okay. So what's your goal? What's the annual GCI goal? And what did you do last year? And we're
Like
all in this together, bro.
250,000. Yeah.
Okay. And what are you anticipating will be different this year from the last year? If you already hit that goal, you already know how to do it, it's familiar. What are you noticing has changed from last year to this year?
I was in a tight referral network before, and I'm
Okay.
no longer part of that team, but I'm a part of a better team. So I'm stepping into something different, and I'm
Okay.
no longer I'm in control of my own marketing this year. So there's just like a couple of variables that are different.
So the main variable I was hearing that's different is you're on a new team, so different referral network. And in terms of this, man, like let's just jump right in and talk about you're getting certain leads that you've set aside your budget for through Muscula and through, you said mailers. Do you
Mhm.
go door knock ever and door knock the areas that you're sending mailers to?
I haven't, but I have in the past. That's something
Okay.
that I've been unwilling to do, but now I'm becoming more willing to do it.
Trying to hit those goals. Okay. So here's my take for you, buddy. The reason I wanted to ask so many questions is I'm trying to kind of just diagnose what's the real problem here. If you've already hit 250, you're trying to hit it again. The main thing that I'm hearing is you kind of shook up your existing referral network. Number one, you really want to make sure your database is just super well managed because your database is your bucket. And if you have a leaky bucket, leaky meaning people come into the database, you have no idea when or how you're following up with them, the bucket's going to be leaky. Without my database, would be completely lost in knowing who to get back to when, because there's just too many things going on as you get more and more, as you know, you get more and more balls up into the air of opportunities that you're trying to juggle. You can't possibly keep track of them unless you've got a system. So make sure your database is super refined. The second thing is if you're not generating the number of leads, but you've capped your budget, a lot of us on this call can maybe relate to the fact that we don't just want to spend more and more money to get in touch with more people. We want to try and make sure that we're being more effective with maybe even the free things that we can do to generate business. So open houses. Love that you're doing open houses. Are you, for one Maxwell, because it's something you're already doing, are you getting everybody's information that comes through the front door at an open house?
So I've done like the sign-in sheet. I found that I cannot read or input their information properly
Amazing,
into my
amazing.
CRM.
Let's start here, guys, because we all, who's doing open houses? Just drop in the chat if you're doing an open house, yes or no. Really quick, yes or no. So drop it in the chat. So we got some people doing them so far. Good. So as you guys are dropping that in here, so let's talk through this, Maxwell. Dave and I were just at EXPCon in Canada last week presenting on this very subject in regards to open houses and scripts and how we run them to get a bunch of business. So right now, I've generated like genuinely, I've got about 1.5 million in GCI that I'm essentially waiting to roll over and opportunities that I'm waiting to happen directly from one luxury listing I had where I've picked up like 8 or 9 seller buyer clients. They're going to both sell and buy. They all have homes that are in like the $2 to $4 million range. And it's all from just open houses. Okay. Yes, the open houses matter, but also the marketing that they saw, Maxwell. It's like we call the open house a giant interview for other sellers to decide whether or not they want to work with you. Or even if they're buyers, when they come through the open house, if they have a home that they need to sell, they're already seeing and judging your marketing process. So for one, Maxwell, this is what happens. People walk through my open house. Nobody ever sees a sign-in sheet. There's no physical paper of any kind. I'm not even giving people information sheets on the property because I don't want to impress them by giving them a piece of paper where they now no longer require me to be the source of information. So here's exactly what happens, Maxwell. You walk up to the open house, and as you're walking up the steps to the front door, I'm either at the door greeting you or a team member, if you need to bring an extra person, is there greeting the person walking through the door. If I happen to be upstairs away, I'm running downstairs and I'm like, hey, I'm going to catch you in a minute. I'm going to go meet this person at the door as quickly as I can. So someone walks through the door. Maxwell, this is what it looks like. Hey, Maxwell, amazing. How you doing, buddy? So good to have you here. Where are you coming in from today? And you say, oh, I'm actually like a couple blocks over. And I go, amazing. So good to have you here. Hey, really quick, let me just check you guys in and then I'll send you on the tour. You mentioned your name was Maxwell. What's your last name? I'm looking down at my phone. I usually turn to the side so that the person can see my phone and they can see the list of the other names of people coming through. If you don't have anybody that's come through yet, that doesn't matter at all. As it goes on, you'll start to have more names there. You tell me your last name, and without looking up at you, let's say your last name is Duclo. So I go, Maxwell Duclo, perfect. What's your email, Max? Tell me your email. I go, great. And your phone number. Okay. I get all the information from you right away. You occasionally get someone who's like, I don't want to give my information, whatever. And I look at you in that case. So let's say, Maxwell says, I don't want to give my information. I go, oh, no worries, Maxwell. Completely understand. The reason I'm asking for your information is the sellers have asked me that anybody comes through the home today, they just want to know who's in their home. And I'm sure if you were selling your own home and we had an open house, you'd probably want to know who's in there. What's the best email for you? And I look back down at my phone. Okay. I have a 100% success rate with the script. I've never had to kick anybody out of an open house. My request is extremely reasonable. You're a complete stranger. You're about to walk into a house. I have no idea who you are. I need your name. I need a way to get a hold of you. Email and a phone number is ideal. Okay. I don't say that to people. I'm just saying that to you guys right now to get out of your heads and thinking that you getting someone's information is like them doing you a favor. You're actually doing your seller the favor, which is we need to know who the heck is in this house. Okay. So Maxwell, the reason I do that, by the way, is if there's a spelling mistake or an error, I'm showing them my phone. I will show them afterwards and go, does all of that look correct? Or I'll repeat it back to them as I'm writing it out. In which case, we get all the information correct and I can input it right away afterward. There's no issue. If I left people to sign in Maxwell, I'd probably only get 20, 30, maybe 40% of my guests where it actually turns out they gave me the right information. When I'm asking them the information, I make sure it's all correct. Okay. That's the 80-20 of getting people's information through the open house. 80-20 principle, meaning that's the 20% of the effort that's going to get you the most results. If you don't have people's information, you can't follow up with them. You can't send them newsletters later. You can't send them property information. If someone comes up to me, Maxwell, I'll give you a good example. 3 weeks ago, I had an open house. This lady refused to give me her email because she's like, I'm working with an agent, don't send me anything, blah, blah, blah. She was like pretty rude. And I was like, no worries at all. We had a conversation, sent her on the tour, by the way, because she had her own agent. I'm not going to give her a big giant tour. It's like, I'll just let her do her thing. I want to focus on the people that come through the door that don't have an agent. Okay, which I'll tell you how to do in a second. So she walks through the whole house, Maxwell, and here's what happens. She keeps hearing me talking with other open house guests saying, that information you asked for, I'm going to email you afterward all the information from the property today, including like the status certificate for the condo corporation. I'm going to email you all that over. Doesn't she sneak over to me in the middle of the open house and says, hey, Jake, can you actually take down my email really quick? I want that information you're sending those other people. And I was like, awesome, right? So she genuinely did it. It was hilarious. Her name is Judy. So that's step one. They walk through the door. Hey, amazing. So good to meet you. What'd you say your name was? Maxwell, my name's Jake. So good to meet you. Where are you coming in from today? They say coming in from around the corner out of town. Oh, beautiful. So you already know the neighborhood, Maxwell. That's awesome. Hey, really quick, let me just check you in and then I'll send you on the tour. What's your last name, Maxwell? Last name. Perfect. What's your phone? Great. And what's your email address? You'll notice with my voice, confident, calm, I say phone or I say email address first. When I ask for the last thing, I use a downward inflection. That's the radio DJ voice, according to Chris Voss. Shows confidence, shows security, shows that you're good to go. Okay. They give me that information. Here's the very next thing I do. I go, Maxwell, awesome. Well, listen, it's so good to have you here. Here's what I'd love to do. Let me take you guys on a tour really quick. Just tell you a little bit about the home, some things you might not know just from, walking around and looking at it. And then I can send you guys on your way. Sounds good? Maxwell goes, that sounds awesome. Some people occasionally go, it's okay. We just kind of want to run through. We don't, just want to kind of quickly come check it out. We're kind of in a rush. In which case I go, oh my gosh, amazing. No worries at all. Let me do this. Let me just point out a couple details for you so that way you know kind of what you're looking at. And then I take them on the tour anyway. All right. And I do this all of the time. This isn't like a good script to use. Like I do open houses almost every weekend. Literally what I say to people, even if they say they don't want the tour, I go, oh my gosh, no worries at all. I'm sure you're in a huge rush. Let me just really quickly run you through the main things you need to know about this home. Come follow me. And I take them in. And people are like, this guy's helping me, right? If I ask for their permission, can I take you on a tour? You know what they say? No, thanks. Okay. It's all good. Just shopping, right? It's like when you walk into a store and someone says, hey, anything you need help with today? Immediate response is like, nope, just browsing. right? But if you walk into the store and someone said, "Hey, so glad you're here. Sorry, my name's John. What's your name? Jake. So good to meet you, Jake. Hey, by the way, we have something, a brand new product that I want to show you. Let me show you really quick, and then I'll let you guys just kind of browse the rest of the store." You'd be like, no one's ever done this for me before. I'm kind of curious now, right? So let's be great salespeople. Let's not just be like reactive salespeople that just ask people questions that are yes or no things. Let's actually, guide them through it. So Maxwell, and I hope you're writing all this down, man. This is like the master class that we taught last week in front of a big audience for how to do all of this related to open houses. Okay. They walk in, I get their information. Now, when I'm taking them on the tour, here's the number one thing I'm trying to do. I am demonstrating to them that I am an expert with my knowledge on the property, with my ability to point out details on the property, but I'm not showing them around the property so I can be a parrot, like parroting off, like, this is a lovely office. Like, look at the crown molding, look at the trim, really nice flooring. I'm actually just quickly using a couple talking points to ask them more questions about themselves. So, guys, come check out this office filled with tons of natural light, beautiful room. Do you guys work from home? Would you use an office? Is that something that matters to you guys? Yes, no, cool. Hey, awesome. By the way, what drew you guys to this house? Like, what about this home caught your eye? Talking with them, asking them questions, take them through the next room. Upstairs, we got 4 bedrooms up here. Let me show you guys the primary really quick. Couple cool details about the primary. By the way, do you guys have any kids? Like, do you need the extra bedrooms? Would you use it as an office, a work from home? Like, what do you guys got going on? Okay. And again, just gathering that information, that's how you're going to build rapport. You're going to demonstrate expertise with your knowledge on the property, but you're going to use each cue of the property, whether it's an office, whether it's a bedroom, whether it's a kitchen, to ask a lot of questions because your goal is to get the intel on this person. You want to know what it is they're looking for, how it is you can help them. And the more you use the prompts of the different things you're seeing in the home to gather information about them, you can start to take notes on them and be like, cool. So it sounds like, guys, this home isn't a good fit. Let's say it's not a good fit for them. Sounds like this isn't really a good fit for you guys. You're looking for something that's more in that like $1 million kind of max price range. You really did need that fourth bedroom, and this is just a 3 bedroom. And it sounds like the ensuite has to also the primary has to have the ensuite. Any other things that you guys are really looking for that matters? And I'm just writing down all this information. Now they're starting to see me as like, they're imagining, could I work with this guy? Because the question they're asking themselves is like, does this guy think he works for us now? Like, maybe we already have people we're interviewing, or we're not sure that we're ready to work with anybody yet. But it's like you're showing them right away, I'm here to work for you. I'm here to get to know you. I care. I'm curious. I'm asking questions. I want to know what matters to you. It builds a huge amount of trust. Okay. Now, something that I missed when they walk through the door and you greet them and you say hey and you take your phone out and you write down their information, the very next thing you say is, by the way, how did you hear about the open house today? Was it your agent who sent it to you, or are you guys just browsing online? This is a great way for you to find out if they have an agent or not. And if they do say, yeah, it was our agent who sent it to us, you say, fantastic. What's your agent's name? Okay. And you write down the agent's name. Occasionally someone will be like, and you'll be like, oh, you're not really sure if love your agent yet. Maybe not because you don't remember their name. Like, I will do playful things to pick apart someone that maybe just said they had an agent and try and win over their business and be a little bit playful and cheeky about it. Gets a good laugh out of people. Most people, if they don't have an agent, they'll tell you right then and there. If they do have an agent, they'll tell you their name. And the reason you're asking for their name is very simple. You want to say to them, hey, look, I just want to be able to update your agent. If this house gets an offer or it sells really fast or whatever the price is, I want your agent to be able to update you guys and keep you looped in on everything. And there's even situations where when we're in a market where there's multiple offers, we have had this happen for our team where we've sold properties so quickly that an agent will reach out and be like, what the heck? I had clients that came through the open house, they were interested, but because that agent never booked a showing, they're not being notified about the updates of the number of offers that are being registered, all the updates that are going out to the showing agents. So it's important that you actually get everybody's information. Now, Oliver asked me, do I use an app? Everybody, once I've gotten their information, I later put them into Follow Up Boss. But when I'm getting their information, I just use Apple Notes. The reason is it's on my phone, it's fast, it's easy to get to. There's no delay time or like there's no data required. It's just quick, easy, effortless on my phone. Later, I bounce everybody out and throw them into Follow Up Boss. Okay. Don't get caught with the whole fancy registration crap. I had an open house probably 6 weeks ago now that was really well priced. We had about 30 something groups come through. It was like over 70 total attendees. It was the busiest open house I've ever had in my career. Huge number of people coming through, and it was just myself. It was like I was a little bit caught off guard. And I managed to get everybody's information in Apple Notes. I got everybody written down, organized. There wasn't a single person who came through that house that didn't give me their first name, last name, phone number, and email. Not even one. So if you have a limiting belief around this, recognize that your belief is the problem. It's not the process that's the problem. It's either your skill, your ability to do it, or it's you have a limiting belief that, gets in the way of your skill and your ability to do it. So just know that this is real, guys, and it works, and it's a great way to get everybody's information. Okay, so you got everybody's info, you took them on the tour. The very last thing you have to do is, as you've been getting to know them, you want to ask them, hey, is this house a consideration for you? If they say yes, you go, fantastic. Are you in a situation where you have a home to sell, or would you just be a cash buyer? All right, ask them. Ask them the hard questions. These questions are only hard because we as salespeople feel like we're being salesy. I'm not being salesy when I ask these questions. I'm being an advisor. Okay. They tell me, yes, I'm interested. Yes, I have a home to sell. I go, oh, fantastic. Let me just open up my app here. What's your address? All right. Other salespeople squirm when I tell them to ask someone that's kind of still a stranger for their address. People, guys, give me their addresses all of the time. It's very rare. Or they'll say, I live in the neighborhood. I go, hey, you mentioned you live a couple streets over. What street are you guys on? They'll be like, we're on Mulberry Street. I'll go, amazing. What's your house number? All right. And then I'll write it down. And what happens is, because I'm able to get everybody's information, there it allows them to start to see me again more as the advisor, because they're like, man, I'm trusting myself enough to give this guy my address. I must be a little bit okay with this person and like them. All right. So they give me their information. And then this is the most important part about closing people is you say, fantastic. You mentioned you're interested. You gave me your address. This is what I would say next. I'd go, awesome. I'm actually right the open house today. It ends at 4 p.m. I'm going to be stopping by somebody else's house quickly. Are you guys free around 4:30 if I just pop in and I'll tell you what I think your guys' home's worth so that you got some information as you guys kind of mull things over? Does 4:30 work for you? Is tomorrow better? All right. Look down at your phone and just wait for them to tell you, like you're going to pencil it into your calendar. All right. You'll be amazed at how many people say, that actually sounds great. That's really helpful. We're free at 4:30, or you know what? Our house is a disaster. We weren't ready to have anybody come through it. And you say, oh my gosh, guys, look, at the end of the day, my house right now, if you were to come through it, is an absolute disaster too. That's how most of us live our lives. It's all good, no pressure. I'm just going to come through really quickly just to get a quick sense of it. So you don't have to worry. There's maybe, you guys got 30 minutes to go home first. Put away any underwear that's out in your bed. That's the only thing that matters. Otherwise, it's good. I can come through it. So just disarm people. Don't let the objections get in your way. And the reality is, I have booked so many listing appointments straight after open houses by just using the script, genuinely being curious about people during the appointment, and then asking where they live, what the deal is. The last open house that I just did this past Sunday, I got like 4 new buyer clients from it. There was only maybe 8 groups that came through, and 4 of them were like willing to work with me, gave me their addresses. There was one couple that's having me over in a few days' time to give them a valuation on their home. Okay. This stuff works, guys. Questions. Hit me with some questions. Hit me with maybe some objections that you guys have there. The script. I hope you're writing some stuff down, Dominic, because that was all kind of off the top of my head. In terms of the actual script, the script is when people, and the other thing, guys, practice this. Having a script is great. Practicing with a friend who maybe just walks up to a door and you open the door, it feels so silly. It's probably the most nervous you'll feel is actually just practicing it. Practice these things to get comfortable with it so that when someone does walk through the door, it's not the first time you're ever practicing this. So here's the script just to recap it, Dominic. Someone walks up, some version of you either greeting them at the door as they're walking up the door. You go, hey, so good to meet you guys. My name's Jake. What's your name? Okay. Hey, good to meet you. My name's X. What's your name? And they say, oh, good to meet you, Jake. My name's John. You go, amazing, John. Hey, really quick, let me just check you guys in, then I'll send you guys on the tour. And you go, John, what's your last name? All right. Write down their information. What's your email address? Perfect. And your phone number. Downward inflection in the voice, letting them know that this is the last thing I'm asking for. Okay. They give me their phone number. Then I turn to them. I go, amazing. Now, before I take you guys on the tour here, where are you guys coming in from today? They say, "Oh, we're coming in from out of town. We're coming in from wherever." You go, "Amazing, good stuff." And how did you guys hear about the open house today? Was it like you saw it online, or do you have a realtor who sent it to you? And they'll say, "Yeah, no, we just saw it online. Like our realtor didn't send it or whatever." And you go, "Amazing. Oh, by the way, you said you do or don't have a realtor." All right. They say, "Yeah, we do have a realtor." You go, "Oh, great. What's your realtor's name?" All right. You write it all down. If they say, "No, we don't have a realtor," you go, "Sounds good. All good, guys. Well, let me take you on the tour really quick and walk you through and tell you some of the things about this home that you guys are going to really appreciate." So the next thing is, let me take you on the tour now. Or I guess the script would be more like, "Awesome, sounds good. Now, let me actually take you guys through the home and show you some of the details or take you on the tour really quick and point out some of the things that you're not going to see unless I kind of show it to you guys." So, some version of like, I'm going to take you on the tour. Okay. And then you take them on the tour. You ask them a bunch of questions about themselves. Those questions are like, "So, what about this home drew you guys to come check it out today? Are you familiar with the neighborhood? All right. Have you guys been looking for a while to make a move? Do you have a home that you plan on selling, or are you kind of a cash buyer?" And you're looking for things like, what's their motivation? Upsizing, downsizing? Are they looking to relocate? Like, what's the scenario here? Is it death, divorce? Like, what's going on? Are they getting married? Are they having babies? Like, what's the deal? So get that information and then ask them lots of questions about their families. Is it just you guys looking for a home? Is it just you looking for a home? Do you have kids? Like, what's the setup here? And then as you're touring the home, you're trying to get a sense of their preferences. Is this, enough space for you guys? Does it feel too small? Does the backyard have enough privacy? Like, just get a sense of what they're looking for. And what you'll notice is that what you assume might matter to people doesn't matter the same to everybody. Sometimes I have homes in front of busy streets. I have clients that are like, if there's a yellow line in front of the street, I never want to hear about it, see it, or even know that it exists. I'm not interested. Then I have other people that are like, "Oh, that house backs onto like a major highway and it's got like a soundproof wall. Yeah, that doesn't really matter to us." And you're like, wow, people are so different. So don't make assumptions, ask questions. All right. Good. And Dominic, you're making a great point, which is like you feel more comfortable after you memorize the words. The best thing I can suggest to do at this moment is do some role play as well, where you actually practice using someone walking through the door to ask them a bunch of questions. And hopefully, you just made a whole bunch of bullet points from what I'm chatting through today. Any other questions, guys? Hit me with what you're working on or trying to figure out when it comes to open houses, or if you're like, "Jake, I really don't believe in open houses. I don't believe that you get all these leads from it." Lay that on me too. Would love to hear it. Ooh, quiet today. Yeah, Jennifer.
So I too use my notes on my phone, and I thought like, oh my gosh, I really should have an app and all this stuff, and just to know that you do that too. But there was just like a few key things that you said that just makes it a little bit easier. I've noticed even like, all right, great, let me, pay really quick, let me check you in. Just that little thing, make it look like they're registering for something. I
That's
guess,
it.
me, I would normally just say, what's your phone number? But I like that.
Yeah,
Just, all right,
yeah,
before
yeah.
we get started, let me just check you in. What's your last name? Because by at that time, I would have established what their first name is based on, that little
That's
segue.
it.
It sounds so silly. And then what I would normally do is I have an assistant. So what I would normally do after they leave, I added some notes about them so I can remember who they are. You know,
Yep.
married couple, have a child. This way I can remember, especially if they don't have an agent, I want to remember who they are. And then I
Exactly
send,
right.
yeah, I send the notes to my assistant or to my email. This way I can plug it in later and not have to worry about it. But thank you, because a
Love
lot
it.
of what you said was great about the details of the house and kind of really get a sense of what they're looking for. So thank you.
So good, Jennifer. And to your point, it just takes a couple of those cues for you to realize, "Oh, if I ask it that way, it's a whole lot easier to ask." The other thing that I have definitely learned through the book Influence by Dr. Robert Cialdini is the idea that when someone is in a uniform, we trust them more. And the studies that they did back in the day was they were able to, by putting someone who was labeled as a doctor in a white coat to show that they're like a doctor. When the patients would come in and they were asked to do these series of more increasingly challenging and kind of obscure things, they would follow along and do it just because the person in the uniform asked them to do it. And they give some wild examples, by the way, of like patients having to like press buttons that inflict pain on other patients, and these people do it because, again, a doctor is telling them to do it, so surely it's okay, right? When you're dressed nicely and someone's walking up into the open house, they are on your turf. When you set the terms and that person walks up to the front door and you say, this is the process, this is how it's going to go, and you say it with an authoritative, confident tone, they're like, cool, this person's a professional and this is the process. And when they say something like, no, I'm not going to give you my information, I'm just going to be a stranger walking through this house, I let them know very gently, like, oh my gosh, no worries at all. I totally understand. The sellers, and I explain that the sellers have asked me to get everybody's information. Okay. Like between us, the sellers have never asked me for that. But I know that if I was the seller of the house, I would make sure, like, hey, everybody that comes through the home today, I need to know who the heck is going to be in my house. All right. I don't know if they're going to try and steal something. I don't know if they're like going to be, making out the layout of my house to see if they can rob me later. Like, I need to know who's in the house. And they could lie, but it's a little bit harder to lie on the spot when you might not have thought information was going to be asked from you. And you'll know if you get a weird vibe from somebody. So Jennifer, thank you for that. Just that little prompt of, hey, awesome. Just before I take you guys on the tour, let me check you guys in really quick. What did you say your last name was? Or what did you say your first name was? Great. Email address, perfect, and your phone number. All right. By the way, guys, I opened up my phone here because I'm looking at my most recent open house and the list of people that came through. And to your point, Jennifer, I have a bunch of notes in here. This guy Mike came through. His wife's name was Anne. They told me, nice, but not for us, and we think it's overpriced. We have an agent. Here's our other house. We rent out the basement. Our house is probably worth XYZ. And the cool thing is, afterward, I actually really liked them. I still called them back and I said, hey guys, I know you mentioned you might kind of be working with an agent. I'm not sure entirely if you guys, like, have you signed any kind of paperwork yet? They're like, no, 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 haven't signed anything. Just have someone we used in the past. And, he was pretty good. And I said, oh, great. Well, listen, I don't want to take any business away or any commitments you guys have made away, but I really liked you guys. It was great connecting with you and would love to just keep you updated on maybe some sales that are happening in your neighborhood or something that's more relevant. What is it you guys are really looking for? And you mentioned to me that you got your place, you rent out the basement, you think it's probably worth 2 million bucks, but you're looking for like 4 or 5 acres on the mountain. Anything else you guys can tell me about your search? And then you know what I do, Jennifer? I set them up on a search anyway. They don't actually have an agent. They're just saying they think they'd work with somebody. And my job is just to wow them and impress them. And by the way, I have a client right now who the first time I ever met him, he's like, hey man, I appreciate you coming by to give me a valuation. I do have some guy that I've worked with in the past. And he mentioned an agent's name and it didn't sound that serious. I kept following up with that guy. I just wrote an offer for that guy the other day, like a year after I met him. I've kept him on my newsletter drip, right? So I meet him the one time, tells me he has another agent. I keep him on a newsletter drip. He calls me like 4 or 5 weeks ago and says, hey, Jake, just saw this house. I really like it. Would you mind booking a showing for us? We're seriously considering buying it. No mention of the other agent anymore. It's like, I'm now his guy. So that is how, at the end of the day, that's how like you can make sure you build relationships with people to put yourself into the hot seat to have the opportunities. The book is Influence by Dr. Robert Cialdini, Cialdini, or something like that. Phenomenal. Okay. Isaac said, stoked to try these scripts out. I honestly hate the sign in. Plus, I feel like I get false info too. Awesome, guys. I don't get false information from people. If you put them on the spot like that, I'm also, by the way, always dressed in a suit. Today I got a turtleneck on. I've got a jacket hung up in the other closet. I'm always like ready to go for people so that when they walk through the front door, they feel like they're engaging with a professional. Maybe maybe you're in Florida and wearing a polo makes more sense. It's just like, look professional, look like someone that people would want to trust and do business with their biggest financial investments. Awesome. Isaac said, what if people say they don't want to get sent anything? A lot of people feel like they're going to get spammed and are hesitant to give info. Perfect. I get this objection, by the way, Isaac. So it's a great question. I'm asked for your information. I turn to the side. I say, Isaac, awesome. What was your last name, Isaac? And you go, hey, man, all good. Just kind of want to run through. I go, Isaac, hey, totally understand, completely get it. My sellers actually asked me that anybody who comes to the home today, give them the whole spiel. And then you go, Jake, all good, man. Like, I just don't want to get spammed. I go, hey, look, here's the good news. I don't have enough time to even get back to all the people that are coming into our database, let alone spam you or send anything your way. There's going to be a note here, but like, we don't, give out your information to anyone. It's just for us to know who's coming through the home. You say, okay, because most people are like, that's pretty reasonable. Then I write down beside this, like, Be careful what to send this person. Don't just put them on some automatic drip, okay? The only thing that my entire database gets, unless they've opted out of stuff, is a once a month newsletter that's like very personal. Most people like it, very few people unsubscribe from it, okay? And if they're like, do not send that to me, then I just put a tag that says like unsubscribe, and that reminds me in follow-up boss to make sure that they don't subscribe to anything. Okay. Amazing. Question from
Got a quick
Vanessa.
question,
What?
Jake.
Yeah. Maxwell, yeah.
Yeah. Do you like if there's a, husband and wife that come in the open house, do you get the information generally more from the husband or the wife? Does it matter?
Awesome. Good, man. These are good questions. Super practical. If I was to show you this list, it would be 50-50. It's almost always 50-50, wife, whoever. So here's how I do that. Two people walk in. I go, hey, my name's Jake. Good to meet you guys. What's your name? Awesome. I'll look at this thing here from these people. Mike, awesome. And good to meet you guys. Hey, really quick, I got to check one of you guys in just so that, the seller knows who comes through today. Which one of you wants to check in? And they'll usually kind of awkwardly look at each other, or someone will just say, my husband or my wife, or like, hey, I'm good. And someone just volunteers, and I go, perfect. Mike, what's the last name? Write it down right away, and then just carry on. Okay. Just to recap that for you, Maxwell. Two people walk up to the door. I go, hey, so good to meet you guys. Awesome. My name's Jake. What were your names? All right, Mike, good to meet you. And perfect. I just need to check one of you guys in really quick. Who wants to get checked in? And then someone offers, I go, amazing, great. And what's the last name, man? And then if they say something like one person volunteers the other person, like, oh, my husband, I'll usually look at them and go, like, look at the husband and go, you just got voluntold, buddy. You're the guy. And it's a little chuckle, a little icebreaker, because it is kind of funny. Like, I'll even acknowledge at times the fact, like, oh, who wants to give their information to the realtor today? Right. And there's a little bit of a laugh, like, oh, this guy gets it. Kind of funny. It's kind of awkward. Like, we're don't really want to give out our info. Okay. That lightheartedness of building that rapport, instantly, people are like, I like this guy. He gets it. This is kind of annoying that we got to check in or whatever. But also, there's lots of people that are just like, cool, let's just get right to it. Here's my information. I don't mind. Okay. Uh, awesome question. Maxwell, I'm realizing you were the original one that asked this thing that turned into a 50-minute monologue with me.
Yeah.
So, did you get some good value from that? Any other big takeaways for you? Any other questions?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I forget the other guy. He's from also Toronto. He had like the same thing, like look down at the phone, be confident,
Dave.
asking those questions.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. I've like flip-flopped. I've, required or asked people like that, and then I've abandoned that, and like it seems like it's working well. So it's something that I definitely want to, because if you just sit back and just let them run the show, then you're not gonna look professional. You're not gonna get their information, and they're not gonna want to work with you.
Buddy, imagine you walked into your doctor's office and you just said, hey, man, how's it going, doctor? Yeah, I'm just gonna grab the stethoscope over here and like you don't just walk into a doctor's office and act like you're the expert. And yet, real estate agents, because so many agents aren't good agents, they do just let people walk all over them. And it sets a bit of a standard that I am there to snap people out of right away by letting them know, hey, I'm actually the expert in this situation. Like, I'm the professional. I'm also someone that's been trusted with this asset that you're stepping into, this home, that's maybe someone's biggest financial asset, or at the very least, it's a pretty important asset on their net worth statement, right? So my job is to make sure that I represent them well. And if you're stepping onto the property, I'm the gatekeeper. I'm the person in charge. And you guys, if you don't have that confidence, borrow it from me, from you just heard right now. And to your point about the other guy from Toronto is Dave, my business partner. Dave and I last Friday in the afternoon at about 2 p.m., we were door knocking homes that are 5 to $15 million in value. Okay. And really quickly, that sounds intimidating. Really quickly, we were chuckling as we got to the end of the driveway, being like, these are some of the nicest people we've ever met. And the perception was that we are going to get told to F off right away. And it's like they were actually some of the most receptive people because a lot of them are entrepreneurs. A lot of them have built their business in sales. They know what a good salesperson looks like. They're receptive to someone that's a professional, that appears like a professional that can help them. If I was to show you guys, we knocked on maybe like a dozen doors at the most because these are big properties. It takes a long time to go walk and knock them over like a 60-minute span. And we had like 3 appointments set up from it. And you can't make that stuff up. Like one of the guys' houses was previously listed on the market. We didn't even know that because we're just out knocking. And his wife answered. She had just had surgery. She was like answering the door. Dogs were barking. She's like, "Hey, look, we're actually really interested in selling. If you could call my husband after 5 p.m., here's his number." She just lists off his number. I'm like scrambling to get my phone. And I'm like, "What house is this even? Like, what house number is this?"
Yeah.
And all of that is to say that it's like when you're the professional, when you're confident, when you go out, good things happen, but you just need to be the person to go make it happen. So, and you need to be the person, by the way, that's proactive rather than reactive. Don't just let people walk into an open house, not get their information, not try and show them the home, demonstrate expertise. By the way, quick other story here. Had a client just maybe 3 days ago. I'm on a listing appointment with them. I'm meeting them for the first time, and they've been following me on social media. She says this. We went to that house you just referenced as a comparable the other day. We went to their open house just to see what it looked like inside. We couldn't believe that the agent, he told him we were downsizing. He didn't ask us. And then we told him that we didn't mention anything about having an agent. So we told him we're downsizing. We mentioned that we're looking for something. He asked us no questions. He didn't ask us if we had an agent. He didn't ask us if he could help us find a place. It's like this is just what people walk into. And then they mentioned the name of the agent, and it was someone that I knew that I've done another transaction with. And I'm like, this guy's actually a decent producing agent, has no idea how to run an open house clearly. Because if they'd come through my open house, I would have been trying to steal them away, get an appointment. If they said, hey, you know what, it's okay, we already have a realtor, we're meeting with them in a couple days, I'd say, awesome. Would you guys be opposed to getting a second opinion? And it's like, well, no, but like, we've already kind of committed. I go, amazing. You guys already signed the paperwork to work with that agent? Well, no, but we're planning on it. I go, awesome. Why don't I just give you guys a second opinion? And that way you at least can judge what that agent said against what it is that I might say. And it'll just give you a good confirmation or a good question mark on is that the right approach that we should be taking in selling our home and the right amount of money? And it's like, that's a very reasonable thing to suggest and might get your foot in the door. Okay. So I, by the way, guys, didn't get into the other things that I do. So I always have flags out on the front lawn that say open house. I always have a sandwich board on the front lawn that says, open house this way. Usually the front door, if it's got two doors, the first door is open, or there's a sign that says like come right on in. And usually it'll say come in, and I'll register, an agent will register you. So there's already an expectation set. We also set out signs around the street to let people know. We also make sure that by like Tuesday of the week leading up to the open house, that it's registered on the MLS so that people can look it up and see it. We also make sure that when there is an open house, the A-frame sandwich board signs get set out in advance, social media posts go out. Like there's all of that stuff. And the most important thing I could tell you guys about the pre-marketing that we do is if you just did this one thing, it'd be a huge difference. Shoot video tours of you introducing the property, walking through the property and talking about it. And if your local MLS doesn't allow you to mention yourself in the video because it needs to be unbranded, don't mention your name in the video. Just say, hey guys, here at 123 Fake Street, I'm going to show you guys through this property today. Absolutely beautiful property, stone's throw away from the lake, yada, yada, you're going to love it. Let me take you guys inside. If you don't say your name or any information about yourself, you are allowed to have that on the MLS because you're not advertising yourself. You're doing it indirectly. Okay. You're just showcasing a property. It's your marketing video. And the reason that's the most important thing you can do is when people come through my open houses, they already feel like they know me. All right. It's a huge cheating advantage. People walk through the front door and I'm like, hey, good to meet you guys. And usually they'll say something like, hey, yeah, we watched the video or we watched every minute of the video. Because in the videos, I usually tour through the whole property beginning to end. Now I only do it for really high-end properties, but in the first 2.5 years of my career, I did it for every single house. It'd be a full walkthrough tour, a 10, 15-minute video for every house. And what would happen as a result is those buyers that are interested in the house, when you're interested in buying a home, you watch every minute of a video. Okay. I'm not trying to do this for an algorithm on like Instagram. I'm shooting these videos for buyers that are seriously considering a purchase. They watch every minute. And then when they get there and they tour it through with you, you look like a trusted advisor to them because they're like, I've already listened to this person talk for 10, 15 minutes and I've watched it 3 or 4 times. All right. So, Dominic, when the door opens, the very first words are, hey, so good to meet you guys. My name's Jake. Come on in. What are your names? There you go. Simple script right off the top. Isaac, No sign in, no info sheet, 100%. If people ask for an info sheet, I go fantastic. After today, I'm going to email everybody that comes through here a full info sheet with all the breakdowns. By the way, what questions do you have about the property? I am their source of information. I don't want people not to come and ask me stuff because they're busy looking at a sheet of paper walking around the house, right? I want to be the source of information. And I'll even let people know that, hey, by the way, the reason we don't have a bunch of info sheets around is I want to be able to be a resource for you guys and answer your questions and understand what those questions might be. Okay. I did the info sheet thing for a little bit. Total waste of time. Anything prepped for the open house? We talked about all that stuff. Do I have audio takes of my conversations? Oh man, I wish, Dominic, but then I would need to have everybody signing off on a sheet saying they're happy to be on camera or happy to be recorded. But I should just get some like maybe hidden audio and like blur out names and stuff. That's actually a great idea. The scripts that I've been giving you guys today, though, is verbatim how I approach it. And I, could do another example, but I think you guys have heard enough of me today. Bring snacks. I used to do snacks this year. I stopped bringing them in. I found that I had to fight with people to take the snacks, and I found that it was always the people that I didn't want lingering around the open house, sitting in the kitchen, like having a snack. So I actually have been very much in the mindset of I'm there to sell this house. And I used to buy coffee, cookies, and would bring a bunch of bubblies like sparkling water. And I just found that people were like I had to like fight to give it away. I'd be like, "Hey, what flavor bubbly do you like?" People never wanted to take stuff, and then the people that lingered were not the people I always wanted there. So I personally have found just getting their information off the top is like the absolute best thing. I appreciate the recommendation for sure. Okay, guys, getting ready to wrap up today. Any other big thoughts or questions, let me know. You guys can definitely hit me up on Instagram at Jake Nicole, just first name, last name. Would love to follow you guys back, stay in touch. So appreciate you guys hanging out today. Oliver, Asir, Adam, Timothy, Maxwell, Vanessa, thanks for sticking to the end, guys. Isaac, appreciate you guys for sure. Last question here, and then we'll wrap up. Is Vanessa saying, can you talk about the buyer's agent agreement? So here in Canada, we don't have the level of challenge that you guys have had quite yet with the decoupling of the buyer side commission from the listing side. What I can tell you, Vanessa, in terms of how I approach everything, you're so welcome, Isaac. Thanks for the kind words, buddy. In terms of how I approach everything, Vanessa, what I usually do is if someone says they're not working with an agent, I will get them on a search first and foremost to kind of just get the process started for them. And then I will reach out to say, hey, look, would love to sit down with you and walk you through step by step what it is I can do to help you find properties both on market and off market that might be a good match for your criteria. Okay. If that's what you're asking, like, how do I get the appointments? It's just asking for them and having a little bit of like a script of value about why it matters. What's the
And
question though,
actually,
Vanessa?
we're not allowed to show them the property. They're not allowed to tour the property without a buyer's agent agreement
Can,
before
can
you
you
even.
send them? Can you send them a list of all the properties that might be of interest to them?
Sure.
Yeah, start there, right? And then when someone wants to go through, where are you based out of, Vanessa?
Detroit metro area.
Yeah. So if you take someone through and you don't have them signed on a buyer representation agreement, what happens?
You can't, it's a violation of the NAR. You cannot tour the property with them at all. Like you can't let them take one step in the house without the buyer's agent agreement.
Amazing.
And
So
that's
this is what I would
something that
say.
I haven't, that's
This is what I
something
would
that I
say. Yeah.
haven't.
Okay, so here's what I'd say. Say, hey Vanessa, excited you reached out about 123 Fake Street. Would love to take you through it. Which time works best? Awesome. Great. Hey, by the way, when I take you through the property, you need to sign a really quick disclosure just for that
Wait, pause.
property.
I'm sorry. I was talking about for the open house. So open houses, they've proven to be a challenge now because when you come to like when you open up for people to come see the house, when they come approach the house, you're apparently, and I don't know this for sure, this is the part that I'm asking, you're supposed to get a buy some type of buyer's name agent agreement signed before they can step into the open
Nah,
house.
I'm not buying that. That doesn't sound I think what I would do is just call your broker of record. There's no way that's a thing. You are from the seller representing the property on behalf of the seller. You have, I would imagine, every right, unless Detroit has some kind of crazy ruling about open houses. You have every right to stand there and be like, I am allowing people to come through on behalf of the seller. I'm representing them. If you're coming through, I am the person showcasing the property today. If they want to write an offer or it gets to that extent, then you can kind of sort out what's required from your board. But yeah, Isaac wrote it's a public event. They're volunteering to be there. I would agree with that. What I'd say, Vanessa, just reach out to your broker of record or someone that you trust to give you the advice on that. But don't let the hearsay of like, I heard that, you have to get a thing signed for every open house guest. Nah, I think you're okay. I don't think that that's going to be a thing. If it is a thing though, let me know. That would be like, wow, Detroit makes it hard to show houses to anybody. So yeah, awesome. Okay, thanks guys.